Join our psychedelic smoke sesh as we explore exciting new dimensions of existence, thought, and possibility.
We'll take you out of this world and blaze through infinite realms, while occasionally forgetting what we were saying.
This is Higher Consciousness.
Welcome to Higher Consciousness Season 3 episode. I'm not entirely sure.
Episode.
Because we're still deciding the order as of right now when we're filming, but we'll have that decided by the time we release this.
But it's a new episode. It's new to you.
Yes, it's a new episode. So thank you for being here with us, for finding us on our YouTube channel, and for subscribing and liking this video at the end as well. So we're really excited for this guest. We have our guest Kole over here.
Yes. Kole, welcome to the show.
Kole is very excited to be here, I think. We're excited to have Kole here because it was funny how we even met. It was so happenstance.
Yeah.
I was actually coming down to the area to pick up a friend from doing a healing session, and she needed somebody to take her home, and so I had offered to be able to do that, and I had stopped into Even Stars Chalice to see Mara, and you were there, and you had a really cool mask, and it had like all these, it was like a lion and like all rainbowed out and stuff like that. And we got to talking, and then we were talking about higher consciousness, and then ta-da, here you are.
On the show.
Actually, I was reflecting as you talked about the reason why you were in the area. I don't think we even talked about that part. I just assumed that you were in the store buying stuff, and that was that was
a solid assumption.
Most of the time, if I'm in the store, I probably am.
That's true.
But no, you're right. We didn't even talk about that I was actually there to help a friend with healing, and that's all what this episode is about healing.
Healing. So excited.
Wow, very exciting. Okay, so
why don't we find out more about Kole?
Yeah, let's find out a little bit. I
Kole?
was just trying to think about the order. Like, do we want to start smoking and
No,
then
no.
ask Kole, or ask Kole, then start smoking?
I want to know a little bit about who Kole is first, and then we're gonna get Mary Jane. Mary Jane wants to know a little about you first.
Yes, before we invoke her. So, Kole, tell the world a little bit about you and about what you do and all the things.
Yeah, well, my name is Kole Mason. I use they, them pronouns. And in terms of like, what do I do? I think my natural tendency would be to say what I do for work. So instead, I'll say that I am trying to figure out how to be a human and how to live and exist. So mostly the doing that's happening is trying to figure out how to live in this body, how to, take care of it, but also how to feed all the other parts of myself, like spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, outside of just what I do and what I'm giving. So that's that piece. What I do to support myself is that I'm a therapist. And so I just am 1 year out of my postdoctorate for counseling psychology. So a large part of that doing that I just mentioned is getting my life back.
Yeah.
And figuring out what did I enjoy doing before I started doing that thing.
All that, yeah.
Yeah, so that, as you can imagine, has been both rewarding and fun, but also challenging given that COVID is happening. And so I think I had moved to Ann Arbor maybe in August of 2019. So once 2020 hit, I barely got to enjoy like what does Ann Arbor have to offer. I heard there were lots of cool arts festivals and so I didn't get to experience any of that stuff. But yeah. So what I do is just try to figure out how to navigate Ann Arbor, figure out what's here to do, reconnecting with parts of myself that I haven't been able to as much. So try not to work too much.
That's really awesome. I do have a question before we get started. What made you move to Michigan?
Yeah, good question. So part of the psychology thing, it's kind of like what doctors do when they match at a place and they go through residency. So at the end of my training, I had to do like a year-long internship or residency. And then it's not uncommon for people to do 1 year post-graduation to also like collect hours that they might need for licensure. And so I had been wanting to come to the University of Michigan, but something, I don't know, during my internship year, it didn't seem like the right time to come here, but for postdoc, it did. So it was close enough to Erie, where I'm from. So my family lives there, not too far to drive. And it was just a new place that I had never lived in or been to. And there's more, but it's a long story about like why I chose the University of Michigan that I don't think really, doesn't really, just more so it just felt like it was time to come here.
Nice.
Awesome.
I hope that it's been treating you well since you've gone here, aside from, missing a lot of the things that it has.
Yeah,
But
I used to live in Ann Arbor for several years, so I'm very familiar with what it has to offer. And there's a lot to do there when we're not locked down.
yeah,
So
I think knowing Ann Arbor though, and knowing the vibrancy of the area, I have no doubt that they're gonna do something amazing when everything is all it would be like a prime time, I think, to be in Ann Arbor, honestly. So it seems like the timing is perfect. So cool. So let's do the blessing and get into Mary Jane and stuff before we keep talking, because we can keep talking forever and ever and ever. And especially with nearly wow, thank you. Yeah, you get to like see a little bit of an insight of like Dave and I, because we're it's interesting because we're blending like our partnership as like a romantic couple, but then we're business and then these show hosts, so it's so much fun.
The banter.
The banter can get really spicy, I think, especially the more high we get. So
Yeah. Communication.
But it's been really healing, honestly, for both of us, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. So okay. All right, so actually I'm gonna start with my higher consciousness bundle, which if you
that's a little stub.
I know my little stub is gone. So I make bundles called higher consciousness bundles. They're on my website, and ameaningfuldream.com if you're interested, or for those who are curious. But it was a bundle inspired by, damn, I love that you're drinking out of a fucking gallon. That is like
he's got gold.
Yeah, I love that.
I love it.
It's just I didn't want to get a cup. So
just get the whole thing. I love it. I love the mentality. Yes, this is great. This is perfect. But my higher consciousness bundles, they are made with actual hemp leaves, and they also have blue lotus and chamomile and lavender. They also have a little patchouli. So it's all ingredients to really make you connected to the higher consciousness without having to necessarily invoke Mary Jane, but Mary Jane through a different form. So we're gonna go ahead and just open up the space here with that just really quick. What are you doing? I was like, do you want to light your face on fire?
Well, I was talking about trimming my beard yesterday. So
we can have Mary Jane. She'll do that for you. All right, so let's go ahead and it's fine. Ashes fly around all the time.
There's burn holes.
Yeah, there is, but it's fine. We're healing. Okay.
We're healing.
Yeah, we are. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and open up this space. We're gonna thank you to the element of air into the direction of north. Thank you to the element of the west. Direction of the west and the element of fire. Thank you to the south and the element of earth. Thank you to the east and the element of water. Thank you to above and the element of space. And thank you to below with the element of metal. Thank you for being here with us, spirit guides and ancestors. And we open up this space so we may have a great show. And let's go ahead and get into the blessing. Take a deep breath. Bless you, Mary Jane, and thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for allowing Kole to be on here and to share their thoughts of healing. And hopefully with this episode, may we experience new perspectives, new ways of looking at ourselves, and have new forms and methods of healing ourselves and others. May this be a fun, informative, but also dope show. Thank you and amen.
Always gotta say dope.
Hell yeah,
I love
it's higher consciousness. We gotta say dope. Like,
Dope show.
because I think the word dope in itself, I think, is explanatory because it's like it highlights Mary Jane, but it also kind of highlights like, yeah, this is cool and this is like awesome. Like, you know, especially after when you hear something really cool, you're like, that's dope.
Shit.
And
You wanted to fly out my mouth.
That beard is getting. You better be careful.
yeah,
It's
look how long it is now. Even
twice the fire almost got it.
yeah.
I think that's what I was invoking it. I almost manifested it. Gotta be careful.
Ooh, I love. Are you having a crystal bowl, Kole?
Marble? Oh,
Marble.
Amber.
Wow.
Let me. Can you show it? And what? Ooh, you're smoking out a howlite. Ooh.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Yeah, sure, it's worked.
That is like me. That is absolutely like me.
Oh yes. So, what kind of Mary Jane do you have? Do you know what the name of it is or the stream?
Hi there.
Is this a hand floating?
Resident.
Oh.
So it's from a friend of mine. Her name's Jessica, and she has like a bud and breakfast called Copper House, and it's in Detroit. So I think this is like, yes, it's really dope. Like, it's amazing.
Well, I know what we're going to be doing next weekend.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a lot of fun. They have events, and I mean, it's a great time there.
What was the name again?
Copper House, Detroit.
House. Wow.
I want to keep that. I had no idea Detroit even had something like that already. That's so exciting. Thank you.
Yeah. It's super exciting. So she's like basically my plug, and this is probably some dry ass weed that I got in like October, but that aside,
Hey, it works.
Weed is,
It works.
yeah, cannabis is cannabis. Mary will do the job.
yes, but it's a sativa hybrid.
Nice. Sativa.
I won't know the difference, so I don't smoke. I wouldn't know. So
It gets the job done.
Do you have Mary Jane very often, Kole, or is this something like a special occasion?
yeah, pretty rare.
Pretty rare.
Special occasion. Yeah. Maybe the last time Amber had a birthday party, at the end of October, and Copper House hosted a party for her, and they had like a cake that was infused.
Ew.
Really pretty. Like, it was a really pretty cake, but it was also really good, and it's helped me take naps.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that.
Awesome.
I was just looking up their Instagram. I took a look at some of the photographs on their page. Instant follow, man. That sounds cool as hell. I'm gonna go check that out.
I think we're gonna probably. I don't know how long we're gonna. I don't know if we're
Yeah,
gonna be able to
COVID
wait.
but we'll see.
I know.
don't know.
We're gonna have to.
Anyway,
Yes. Anyway, so
we got a topic to talk about here.
we do.
Liz is coughing. Liz is coughing again. She's coughing people. Every single time. Well, not every single time, but a large amount of the time. Liz has the coughing fit. and I like singing the song about how
I
she's
promise
coughing.
I know how to smoke weed.
And every single time the song is a little different because I don't know how it's gonna go. It's just whatever melody pops in my head.
Yeah.
So, but it was funny though when we were on with Omar. I mentioned that we got to get ready. She's about to cough, and nothing.
I think because I think my energy knew, because Omar is like a teacher. I mean, I took a couple of courses with him, and I see him as like a teacher guru. So I think my spirit was like, gotta
Keep it
hold
together,
it, gotta
Liz.
keep it together.
Don't cough in front of
Yeah, don't cough, don't do it. You'll think you're crazy. No, it's just like the I think that's what happens when you get. Maybe we could talk about that in the healing too. So I definitely think Mary Jane and healing really do go hand in hand, and I would love.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to hear your perspective on that, especially since it's not something you take in very often. And just I think what I'm really curious to hear more from you about, Kole, is what is healing to you? How would you define that? And what would you, I think, say for others that are in the midst of their own healing?
Yeah. Oops. Sorry. I
Sorry.
keep
It happens.
I'm distracted, but I keep 2 rocks in hand just to help me stay grounded.
Oh wow. That's cool.
Love it.
So yeah, so I just dropped one of those. Uh-oh, I'm about to fly off. That's
I think so.
It's okay,
Yeah.
baby. It's okay.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm here. Don't pay attention to me. I'm not here right now.
Well, I think the first thing that comes up is if we're talking about healing and what healing means to me. Well, the first thing that comes up is talking about perspective. So there's a way that like what I do professionally offers a perspective. The experiences that I've had throughout my life offer a perspective.
Oh, yeah.
So I think there's lots of different methods, ways, or ideas about what healing could be, but it feels like it would be difficult to do that without first tuning in to understand what your perspective is and what's shaped it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think it can be really healing to just unpack yourself.
Mm-hmm. Be very raw and open about it too.
And that it also just takes time to work through all of the different layers. I think when Liz and I talked at the store about like what we might talk about today, something that I had in mind was talking about the limitations of talking
I
in
remember.
terms of healing. Yeah. And of course, I'm not, so yes, I'm a psychologist, so there is a way that I'm sharing expertise or I'm speaking about expertise. But I think what I also want to hold in balance is that everything that I share is, my particular opinion, but it may not be that of others. And some of it has come from personal knowledge, not my training as a psychologist. So it feels even important to just talk about 2 of those perspectives, right? As I talk about that. But yeah, so I had in mind talking about healing, the limitations of talking as a method of healing, and just wanting to explore ways that we could use the body.
Yes.
To actually
Us right now.
yeah, to actually connect with the body as a source of healing and a place to allow healing to come from.
Yeah. Actually, my friend that I was helping out that day, she says that one of her friends told her that, and like I always have this in my head of how she refers to the body, is like she refers to the body as like our earth suit. Like this is what our soul our soul's suit, our soul's earth suit.
I've heard meat bag before, but I don't think I've heard earth suit before.
Yeah.
I've heard meat suit before too.
Yeah.
Meat bag. But
Well, that's interesting. I mean, one of the things that I've been kind of working much more with now, I mean, I've been aware of for quite some time is, you know, like you were saying, like the inherent kind of knowledge and wisdom that is within your own body.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you tune into it and you actually listen to it and give it some attention, because a lot of us we engage in activities that are more distraction than they are introspection, and I think we need to balance that out more. I mean, it's nice to have distraction every once in a while. It's nice to have entertainment and escapism every once in a while to explore that. It's like a dream, right? However, there's a time after the dream, like Liz has been doing, where you review your notes and you integrate what was in that dream and see how it's relevant to your life and how you might be able to use those messages to heal. So is there anything in like dreams that you've actually like explored as part of a healing practice? I don't really know much about your background, so I just was curious because, you know, she's been diving into her dreams hardcore, man. She's got pages and pages and pages and pages. So
a whole playlist too now.
Oh wow, of dreams or things.
So one of the things that so there was a period of time when I was healing. I was actually like absent from doing a lot of stuff for a meaningful dream and higher consciousness too. And it was to a point where my body was physically like unable to do anything, even like texting, even like writing in my journal got to a point where it hurt because it was like in this like area right here. So like anytime I moved my arm, and so I did learn how to use my left hand though a little bit when I was eating and drinking and things. So there's that and a little bit of writing. So there's that. So that was kind of fun to do. But one of the other things that came through is like, you know, like you get bored of watching TV all the time. I don't like watching TV all the time. And I enjoy just sitting and listening to music, but like I was getting antsy and whatnot. So I really, I don't know, just felt this call to experience more of my dreams again, because I did used to dream so much to the point that I felt like I wasn't sleeping. And so then I wished that I would stop dreaming, and it happened. And I had not realized how much I missed that, and also how much of just the part of that was, I mean, my dreams were the whole reason that a meaningful dream even became to be of existence. And I think there was a part, I had always been connected to it, but I had missed like the depth of that. I was like disconnected to the depth that I think I needed to be, especially because I was kind of being, my spirit has been asking me to like take the next step and like do more. And so the dream part has been coming up. And so I couldn't write, so songs were coming up, and I was waking up with songs in my head, and it would just be numerous songs every single day. I get from anywhere from 1 to 12 songs every morning, and all of those songs are about a particular dream that I had. And so I can listen to that song and I can tie it back to a dream. And if I can't remember the dream, I can decode what the message and the theme of why that song would have come up in my subconscious, because I can see all the other songs that were coming up, whether they be new or repeats, because sometimes I get repeats. And some of the songs that were coming up too are songs that I'm like, I have not listened to that shit in like forever. Like Kumbaya came up one time, and I was just like, really? Kumbaya? And like, I love that song. I think it's a great song, but then there was a part of me, it's like, really, Kumbaya? And then I had this other song that I haven't listened to until like high school, and it's just like, really, why that song? But it was really, now knowing what it is and like doing the decoding and stuff, it's been really healing for me, because it's triggering emotions, and I'm able to tie those emotions and other things back and whatnot. So that's my long explanation. I'm not going to talk for much more longer, because I'll keep talking about it, because I've been so excited about it. But I think that's why he's asking, because like that has like been a lot of what I've been doing, of like trying to like do that, and trying to, now I'm at a point where I'm trying to share this with the collective so they can start, if this is something that's happening for them. And turns out a couple of people have been experiencing similar things, so it's been really fun.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think, Dave, to your question of like, have I done dream work or has that been part of my own healing? I would say it was and is, but it wasn't always an intentional. Like I would say, it was happening, and then I realized it was healing.
Right.
Versus I went into it with the intention of, oh, I'm going to use this for healing work. As I started to kind of cycle out of, so I've lived what, like the last almost decade of my life on academic, like higher ed, university calendar. So I was about to say, well, right before the end of the spring semester in 2020, which would have been in like April, right? um, I started working with a supervisor who was a Jungian psychologist. And so a lot of Carl Jung's work, if you all know anything about him, he has this expression that dreams are the royal road of the unconscious. And so this particular supervisor that I had, part of her supervision of me, so getting me to talk about clients that I worked with, what reactions I was having to them, how I was making sense of their cases and so forth, had to do with doing some dream work and having me keep track of my dreams during the course of the time we worked together. And so I had a lot of anxiety about being able to remember the dreams. I think one of the things that came up for me from a healing perspective was also letting it settle in at some point that, you know, saying I don't have dreams, right, has a second meaning, right? Of that there are ways where I have been unable to dream about things, right? And so I think that was one of the most healing things that came from that is, oh, like when I say I don't have dreams or I'm worrying about having a dream, that means something
Yeah.
for my own spiritual growth, or there is a message in that to me. Of course, just by nature of suggestion and asking me to remember my dreams, I remembered them, right? So we went through them, and I would, put pieces that stood out. Sometimes it would be a like entire scene of something. Other times it would be a word that I would remember, and so we would talk about it and some of my reactions. And then at the end of the semester, well, at the end of the summer semester, which would have been about two and a half months, we kind of looked at it as an arc of our work together and talked about how it may be related to the relationship between her and I, in terms of her supervising me, or in terms of, whatever was coming up for me about her as a supervisor, and then how it also related to that transition point in my life. So I'm moving out of being a postdoc to then working for myself, essentially, which is very different. So I would say that dream work has definitely been really healing, even if I didn't set out with that intention for it to be. I haven't done it in a while, but usually I focus on the feelings that I have when I wake up from the dream, or if there was some sort of symbolism. So, for example, in one dream over the summer, I had a dream about getting a nose piercing. I did actually have my nose pierced, but in talking with my supervisor, we talked about how in some cultures the nose can be associated with spirituality, a rite of passage, like all of these other things. So that was also really helpful to think about that. Oh, and one other piece that could be used as a healing tool in terms of dreams, if there are lots of people or objects or whatever it is, trying to process if each of those aspects was a part of you, what is that saying? So like the person in your dream who you think is maybe your friend or some random person is actually representing a part of yourself. And can you have conversation with that part to find out why it's in the dream or what it wanted or whatever. So even just being open to possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, the idea that you can talk to any part of yourself just by wanting to,
Yeah.
could also contribute to healing, just that shift in thought.
And shift in it goes back to perspective with what you were saying. It's like,
Yeah.
and I think, your perception is your reality. I think that is also like a healing statement, but also it can be overwhelming, I think, at the same time. I think it just depends on where you are in your life. And I think we're always healing. I don't think healing ever really truly stops.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it from a physical perspective, you are. I mean, your cells regenerate I think it's every like 7 years or something like that. Like you go through like a whole series of like new cell regeneration and growth and replacement. So like
Mhm.
like the ship of Theseus thought experiment that came up in WandaVision the other day. You know,
Oh,
it
yeah.
is like if you have like, are you familiar with the ship of Theseus thought experiment?
No, but
So it's the thought experiment that if you have this old ship, you know, the Theseus ship, and from ancient Greece, and if you preserve it for however long, you're basically just replacing different parts of the ship as they rot away. After a while, all those parts that have been replaced are a new ship. You know, it no longer has any of the original parts of the ship. So is that still the ship of Theseus? You know, and that's sort of the interesting thought experiment that has plagued philosophers for centuries. So, but it's a similar idea with us. You know, like all of our cells regenerate after a certain period of time. So are we still the same person that we were before? Because no, we're not. Physically, we're literally not. And that has nothing to do with our emotional, spiritual sides. But still, our emotional, spiritual sides are constantly evolving and changing and in need of healing because I think the world, presents certain traumas that we have to deal with from time to time. So I would also be interested to know, within that, how much within yourself would you say you have, gone through as far as like traumas and healing and what has really helped you the most to get through things like that? We talked about dream, therapy as being something that would work, but is there any other things that you've done personally that you attribute as like, this is the thing that really helped you?
Yeah, no, so there's no like one thing for sure. It's like a whole web.
Yeah.
Um, so there's like a whole network of things. One of them that stands out as a major change was having a Reiki session.
Yes.
And then like taking a Reiki 1 course, which if I think back, so again, because it's a web there, if I look back in terms of like, what does my healing journey look like? There are ways that I could probably go all the way back to childhood to identify different parts and pieces that I may need as a helper for me, which may be a change in perspective or a book. It could have been an experience. It could have been a friend I made, right? Like, so there are all of these ways that I guess the thing is time.
Yeah, time's a big. It's a hard one too, though, I think. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I love how that just spontaneously. So what was happening for me is I was distracted. So like when Dave was talking about, is this ship still the ship? And now there's new people. I was just trying to focus and I was like, oh, okay, I can pick out that piece. And he said something else, but I don't know. I can just pick out that one. I heard that one. And then like, okay, he's summarizing for me now. So listen, he's saying the thing. Come back. And then he said, what's the thing? And I was talking around like, there is no thing.
Yeah.
What is the thing? I'm talking about a web. I'm rambling. Time's the thing.
It came back around.
Don't you love it how Mary Jane, she like takes you on this like journey, and it's like you're not just walking through the forest, you're gonna look at everything in the forest. Like yeah, exactly. Yeah, she does that. And then it's like, but you always somehow manage to come back. Like my one friend and I used to joke that it was like Mary Jane would like put you in a circle and like you just like follow the circle. If you like, because if you try to stop and go back, it like doesn't work. You'll get no. Yeah, and like there's a part I can feel it in my brain too. Like I could quite literally feel my brain being like, it's not working. So like if I just like let it flow. And like if I follow the circle and like, okay, try to tune back. Okay, what is he saying? It always comes back. So I love it. That was great. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah. So I guess time is the biggest piece. Time and continued experiences. In terms of my own healing, trying to think about what made Reiki so important is because one, it was a reminder that I've always believed in energy work or have been doing energy work, even if I didn't know that's what it was. So it was helpful in terms of a shift in perspective of that. But then the major other piece was the recognition or idea that I have power. And so things do happen, and there are things that I've experienced as a person with melanin, as a person who's non-binary, just as a person who lives in this body. There are things that I have definitely experienced that have left me feeling powerless, or left me with the recognition that my identity, myself, whatever, wasn't valuable enough to have power or to have a voice. And so I think in Reiki, at least in my first Reiki 1 class, it was a realization like, oh, I actually have power. And the issue is that I didn't think that I had any. So that also was really healing to see, oh, I get to make a choice. And in many ways, I think I can look back over my life and see ways where I had to, in order to survive, right? I just had to kind of go along with what was present, or just not believe, right? So that piece about the dreams, right? Like connecting, not believing that certain things are possible for me for a variety of reasons. I think the hard part is like those things are so planted in. So, like things are so embedded. So even if I wasn't conscious that, oh, there are ways that I have internalized shame about parts of myself, that then make it hard for me to believe that I'm worthy of having the things that I want, or that those things will even be options.
And it can be deep, and it can it can be,
Mm-hmm.
you don't even know it's there sometimes.
I was just going to say, I mean, I felt that personally myself recently, where like, I had an episode where I look back at certain things that really stuck out in my past. And even though it might seem mundane, it was still a moment where, I basically shamed myself, at a young age, and didn't really quite realize what I was saying and what I was manifesting, because words are magic. And I basically said, I am ashamed of myself, that kind of thing, out loud, and that really stuck with me. And when I realized it, like I had a bit of like a cathartic experience, where I allowed it to kind of erupt out of me and come out, and I could let go of it. I definitely can see where, the practice of going back in examining your life and seeing the parts that stick out to you, like, because I was just having like another conversation with a friend of mine where they apologized. They were almost doing their own kind of shadow work, and they apologized to me for like something that they had done. And I looked at them and I was like, I really hate to break it to you, but honestly, I don't remember that, and that's the thing, is like, it wasn't that traumatic for me, and they really believed that it was, but it was more traumatic for them what they had done, and I acknowledged that, and I gave them forgiveness. But it is interesting, the things that stick out to us in our past. And so, is there any part of what you do in your perspective that you dive into? Do you dive into particular traumas like that in order to help your clients?
Oh, wait, could you ask that question again?
I was just wondering, if with your practice, the work that you do, if you use the particular traumas that people have experienced, even if it might be mundane, like the things that really stick out in their memory of their past, does that at all like come up in the work that you do?
Oh yeah, Yeah, I mean, so from my perspective, we all are constantly experiencing traumas to some degree, right? So I think we tend to think about some major accident or some major something coming up as a trauma, but actually, like anytime we are in relationship with other people, there are various traumas that can come up. Of course, that doesn't mean to minimize or elevate anyone else's trauma and the impact that it has on the person's life, but we're always processing and trying to heal some part of ourselves that we're grieving, right? Even if we don't recognize it. So yeah, definitely in work with clients, it's really important to be able to talk about those things. But the cool part is how I like to practice professionally is through a relational lens. So what that means is that we talk about what it's like to build a relationship together, right? So I may be a therapist, it's a different type of relationship, but it can be really, really healing to work in relationship and to be able to kind of, subvert etiquette, right? So being able to say like, we don't know each other. There's no reason that you should trust me. We learn to trust people by having experiences with them, by knowing that they're safe, that they listen, that they care. And so there are ways that I would say, even in my practice, approaching therapy in this relational way has been healing for me and is also healing for the clients, right? And so just being able to say, what was it like for me to ask a question about this? And for a person to say, well, it was scary because even though like I know I can trust you, I feel afraid that you'll judge me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And so then we get an opportunity to talk about what would it mean if I did judge you?
Yeah.
What would it mean if I weren't judging you? Who's judged you? Right? And what was that like? What does that feel like?
Wow.
And if there is a way where I may be negatively, what the client is fearing, that there's a way to also be able to share, even if I did feel, disappointed or angry, I'm not another ruling, governing critic,
Yeah.
right? So we're working to, heal and get rid of the inner critic. So we don't need me to replace it, right? It's you. So that's the other part. So time, learning, and like experimenting, and I guess learning and experimenting are the same, but really getting the chance to be your own operator and knowing that no one else has power over you or power over your experience. So you get to just be your own inner cheerleader, inner critic, Yeah, yeah. So back to we went on the loop. So yes, trauma, talking about traumas and exploring traumas is really, really helpful in terms of healing and working with clients. So
Yeah. Well, I mean that's what I've discovered. That's why I was curious about how much you work with it because it as much as it is hard, for everybody to dive back into their trauma, it can be very revolutionary for you. You really see it in a different way, and you can kind of release it. And on the other side, you find joy. Like I found joy multiple times when I've done it.
Mary Jane.
We do need more Mary Jane. Let me get on that. You haven't talked in a minute. You talk.
I haven't talked in a minute.
Be gracious with your beautiful voice while I put together something.
Be gracious with my beautiful voice.
Actually,
Wow, you really do make me feel like a goddess, baby. Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
So, what I'm curious, when yeah. So as you're Anyway, just trying to let you I don't want you to choke, but I find that you're gonna do it anyway because oh my goodness. Okay. So what I'm really curious about, Kole, is, we were talking about, earlier when I first met you. And first, I didn't also mention this too. When I was there at the shop, that was in the midst of me going through my healing during this.
Oh.
And that was one of the first times that I had like started to like come out of like my hibernation of me doing that. That was like one of like the first steps. And I thought, okay, this would be a great, because this would be appropriate for me to do, I feel, because I really love this person. I want to help her. I want to be there for her. You know, it's a newer friendship too, but I felt really good and I just wanted to be present. And I felt, you know, it was a good opportunity to come out, because I've always told my clients that everything that I do is healing for me too. There's always it's like, it's to the point where I can see parallels so clearly that it's I feel like I'm constantly in a different dimension at this point. So yes, we have more Mary Jane now.
That was cool.
So yeah, I just wanted to share that too. So it was a very healing moment, I think, for us to meet, and it's just very synchronistic. And I love all the signs and the meanings, and it's just but one of the things I'm curious about is, what is something that I think that in healing that you feel is either often it's like overlooked and the importance of, or what are some essential things that are a part of healing that you would say are really important to either like focus on, or you know, and just really highlighting, I think, what is important, and I think really highlighting if there is something that we like look over and of how important it actually could really be for us. I would be curious to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this depends on what you do for a living, or the profession, or maybe if you're into astrology, what elements are, you know, whatever. But I think the answer to both those questions is the body. Um, so what gets overlooked is, yeah, like it's, I think the, you know, the body, but again, that depends on a person's experiences, how grounded and in their body they feel or have been able to be throughout their life. So I think the body is a big one,
Yeah.
that gets left out.
Do you know the song Body by Megan Thee Stallion?
I figured that's what you all were.
So it's so funny that Body keeps coming up, because I quite literally, one of the songs I woke up to was called Body. I'll send it to you later. And the Body song came up, you know, from Megan Thee Stallion. But yesterday I made a video about dancing and how it's important to relieve stress, worry, doubt, fear, connect to like Mother Earth and myself, and you know, booty power, and also your primal energy, and to enjoy and have fun. And it was to the song Body. So I love that, how synchronistic. I'll have to send it to you if you're not on social media, or you
Yeah.
can social media.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think also, whew, that just hit me real lost for a second.
And we're off.
Oh, you just wait. You just wait.
We're just getting started.
Yeah. So I think it's also like literally connecting to the body and asking the body what it has to say to you. So I've been reading. So I haven't had any like specific special training on body work and therapy. So as a Reiki master, right, there are ways that we talk about anatomy and physiology and all of that stuff to have an understanding. But in my professional work, I didn't have any courses on that. So we talk about how people have, you know, biological, psychological, social reasons for why certain symptoms may manifest, or why certain diseases may come to be, right? And so one of the things that I felt that was lacking was really having an understanding completely, right, how the body works. And that's not something that can be learned in a few years in a program, right?
No.
So part of, right, yeah. So if we're going to use the body as the thing that's overlooked, but the thing that could also be really influential in healing, that means we would need to learn about anatomy and physiology and understand what's the internal, external stuff. How is it supposed to work together? So really like learning what it means to be in a body. And so for my own healing journey, that's part of what I'm trying to figure out, right? Is like, what do I need to do with this body? Why does it need so much sometimes? I don't feel like eating. I don't feel like getting the food.
Why is this happening? Like,
Yeah, like it's a lot of hard work to take care of a body. But one of the things that I've been focusing on recently is trying to connect to what the metaphysical meaning is of certain body parts. If I have certain pain, just anything like that, so that for myself, I can be kind of tuned in and aware of what might be going energetically, but also because it helps me in my professional practice. So that's given me kind of another thought that.
and then
And this,
why I
damn
say
it.
he's like, you say a lot of and then and but also's, but it's like, but then also, but then wait, but go ahead.
Yes, okay, it came back to me. So I think so there's like time, experience, and then making sure that your healing is for you.
Yes.
So like not so, I can heal so that I can finally be good enough for so and so or for whatever it is, but that your healing is focused on you healing yourself instead of trying to heal others. So I think that's something that, in terms of my own healing journey, that's been really helpful is recognizing like, okay, so I'm a therapist. Why on earth would I want to do that? Like, what is it, right, about listening to other people, right, when they're going through difficult things, or maybe not, right? Like, what is it about it that makes that natural or something that I would be drawn to? And really being honest with myself about that question, that there are ways that I've always played this role, right? Yep. As an empathic person, maybe as, children are very open, emotionally, they're learning, but they are more connected to the body than we tend to be as adults. So recognizing like, oh, there were ways that I started doing this work because that was my assigned role in my job, right? And so there was a point where I had to decide, whatever I'm going to do, I want to do it intentionally. So do I want to continue with this work knowing that I'm maybe doing this for my family so that they feel proud of me, so they feel like the efforts that they put into me were worthwhile? Or am I really doing this because it's for me and it's what I want to do? So that's another, right? As we talk about like, okay, my own healing journey, then getting messages that I have power are kind of implanted because these are different years of experience. So really like it's helpful to try to, so what I've been learning to do is focus my learning on myself. So it can be easy to say like, oh, I'm going to learn about the body so I can be a better therapist, instead of I'm going to learn about the body because I have one and I need to like do things for this body
that way.
Yeah, and what would it mean for me to prioritize my own healing and care, my own emotional wellness and well-being over that of others, or of it just being something I kind of excavate and allow to be commodified by other people. So that's been really, really pivotal in my healing, is shifting the focus that I am healing for myself. I'm here, right, in this experience for myself. I'm not here to heal the whole world. And I have a choice to even participate if I don't want to be a Reiki master and I don't want to use it after completing it, or if I no longer want to be a therapist, or I no longer want to do something, right, that I always get a choice in how I contribute to the collective. And it doesn't have to be what was, assigned to me or taught to me. That's supposed to be my role. Like I have power and a choice.
Well, that's the idea of play, the idea of like, it's because we were just talking about that this morning. I was like going on this like long ramble with Dave about how, so this upcoming week is the beginning of the balsamic moon, and I am somebody who is very guided and very like, and a big part of like my growth and my development is to really follow the moon back, like how like my ancestors would. And so during the balsamic moon, you naturally feel sleepier, you feel more lethargic, you do tend to be more psychically in tune though, so you're daydreaming as well. And but it's a time of like rest and replenish, reflection, and like self-care, and just, you know, cleaning house and doing things for yourself. And so you can prepare for new seeds for the new moon.
Absolutely.
And then do that. And so it's a risk for me because I am choosing to like totally be absent from social media.
Yeah.
And that's how I run my whole business
Yeah.
for that whole week, because I really want to embody that, because it's really important for me. And it's really important for me to do that. And like, it was a risk. It's a risk because there's a part of me that's like, I want to be of service to others. I really want to be there for others. But it's like, I really want to follow the moon, and I really want to embody
Yep.
it. I really want to like flow with it, because I just feel that there's going to be something that's really going to be empowering for me and more beneficial to the people later on. And it's not just like for the people though, it's for me. Like I can, because I've been
Just follow the people.
That isn't but I mean, I always am thinking about the people. What can I bring to the people? What can I bring? Like that's always in my mind, like all the time. Like, but and so it's really empowering for me because I'm ultimately like choosing to still like follow and do my work, but it's really for myself. And I think by embodying that and showing people that this is what I'm doing because this is what I want, that I think is empowering. That doesn't mean they have to do the same thing, but if they want to, here's how it's working for me. Give it a try. Tell me what you think. Share your perspectives. Like I'm curious to know, because I'm always about like, I love knowledge, and knowledge is like, and I have a thirst for knowledge, so I'll just keep going all the time. Like let's say late at night I'm watching like these like docu-series about things, and they're like yeah, like the universe, like yeah, tell me more. Tell me more about why Venus is like that.
And then you want to watch nature films in the morning,
yeah,
so that I cry because it's just like constantly like, and then the mother lost her 2 cubs in the night. Like, what in the hell, Disney? Why are you making me cry? While I'm eating my brunch.
It was the Disney Nature Lion series, which was narrated. Was it Samuel Jackson?
I don't know.
I'm pretty positive Samuel Jackson did that one, but that one really pulled your strings, man. Holy shit, that one was
started
really
off with
rough.
5 cubs, ended up with like 2 or 3.
Yeah, and like they made it. I mean, it's Disney. They make it really
the
dramatic.
mother died or something. I was like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, but you know, there is healing in that later on.
But there's healing.
There is, to tie it back to the subject, so we don't get too lost here now.
Oh, I was going there. I was going there, babe. You just beat me to it.
And before, like,
Nice
I
segue.
talk over Kole anymore, so.
We only have a few more minutes left.
We do?
Yeah. I'm trying to clock the time. I think we have roughly like 10 minutes left.
Okay, sweet. Well, I actually have something in mind as it relates to like healing. The last, final thing of where I'm at in my healing is like I'm doing lots of different stuff. How I'm trying to connect to the body is I've started doing some exercises where I just either get really quiet or I lay down and I try to sense my own heartbeat.
Yeah.
Dude.
Not using any, nothing like that, like taking a pulse, no, nothing like that, like literally just laying there and getting quiet and seeing if I can connect to my heartbeat and my body. And so I did that recently, and I sort of asked my body what it had to say to me. And so I got these words. To me, I would consider this to be sort of like sacred words or a spell, if you will, that came from my body, or a poem, or a prayer. However, whatever your lens is to be able to look at it. But I did want to share that, just with the caveat that it feels really vulnerable to share these words that literally came from, right, that were told to me from my body. But I also feel like it's really important to share it. And right after it happened, I I was like, oh, I want to share this on this podcast. And yeah, and particularly, you know, I think it's for all people, but especially people who are highly melanated, people who are queer, people who are non-binary or trans. So just, you know, I think as I think about my own identities, right, and healing myself, there is a way that as I start to heal those things, then I can put those words out in a way that's, you know, kind of tuned for people who have a similar experience. Because we all have bodies, we all have, you know, human things that we experience, but literally having something from someone's body that mirrors your own, right, can be really powerful and can help you feel, at least for me, has helped me feel better about myself when I have someone of my own identity embracing me. And so, yeah, so anyway, since we have those moments left, I wanted to share that.
Please,
Um,
oh my goodness,
Yeah,
please,
absolutely,
please,
please.
yes.
Let me see if I can
Thank
find
you before you share, thank you for being vulnerable and open and honest and raw and like being a voice for all of those identities, because we haven't, that's part of the reason why we were so excited, is because you are a voice of many that we haven't had many on the show yet, and we really want to be a voice of all. So we appreciate for you being the first on our show. So go ahead.
Ooh, I just had a moment of deja vu. Like, you know, like we had this conversation. I've had that many times throughout this, so it's been a little disorienting. But yeah, I just want to acknowledge, like, oh, we've been here before. Right?
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So I think the first part, in terms of like an affirmation that would come with this spell, if it were to be used that way, is that in terms of materials, there's nothing that's needed except for having a body. And, you know, laying down and trying to sense your heartbeat just to reenact sort of the energy or whatever was present when it came out. But it really doesn't matter to a certain degree. It's more the intention. So yeah, so I just want to say that part, and kind of the affirmation that also came with it is that people don't have to agree, but you get a right to speak your truth.
I love that.
So I'm just gonna get centered before I speak this, connect to my body so I can speak from it. This vessel needs healing to transform what is from what has been accumulated over the many lives that have been lived, from that which has been handed down through the generations, illusions that can only be broken through loving self-reclamations. This body needs healing from the ways it has been harmed, taught that it was unimportant, vulnerable, unarmed. Inside this body is safety and wisdom. Inside this body is the universe, magic, and love. Self-healing and ownership are mine and have never come from above. They are under my authority and will remain within my power. That means that I am always at home and I am always empowered. I reclaim this body as mine. It belongs to me. As I have spoken it, so shall it be.
Man, I just got some bad ASMR tingles. I have like crazy ASMR from time to time, and man, I just got just like, whoa. That was
Ooh, ooh.
So beautiful. Thank
Yeah, that was
you.
great.
Yeah, I felt that.
Wow. I was just thinking, how there's been moments of like, Liz, first, your energy is so powerful. Like when you started the blessing at the beginning, like I could literally feel it like pulsating and radiating all around. And while doing this at the end of that, that spell, that prayer, whatever we want to call it after those words, like I just got that same feeling and this image of like lights kind of lighting up in a row, right? So if there were to be, this were a ripple and it just sort of emanated out, that's what it kind of felt like. It was like going into a portal like that, and just that recognition that that energy was open, right? When we started with the blessing, and that was sort of the springboard that then lets all of this echo out of. It's yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow, thank you. That's very kind of you to share. Thank you.
That was a great way to end the episode. Holy shit.
Yeah. Wow, that was like really, really great.
Might need a minute before we finish up here, but
yeah. Well, I think I would
geez.
definitely have to say the same for you, because when you were saying that, I don't know, like I could just feel it. Like I know that, like yeah, I think there's a lot of power.
Oops, sorry.
Take it.
I just like literally just like dropped it. Thought you were
Fine.
I was like, it's a Kleenex. It's not gonna fall right.
The Kleenex got dropped. So.
Yeah.
Kleenex drop.
Oh
my god. Oh my god. No, I think there's just something about your voice, Cole, that I think you're just really, you have like these ocean wavy, very flowy, like very merman, like but a very healing, like but also at the same time very like brave and very strong and very like empowered in thyself. It's not like something where you're very like, it's just very eminent to me, honestly. So that's why I was so excited to have you like on the show, because I remember like feeling your energy, and I was like, they would be great. They would be awesome to have on our show. We have to have them on our show. Like, it's just something about you. And then when my friend Hannah told me, Hannah's like one of my close friends, and she told me that she knew you, and told me like your relationship. I was like, well, oh my goodness, it really was meant to be them. So it was just awesome. So no, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing like your voice and your words and your feels and your thoughts and your experience and lens and all of the above. And your healing too. I'm sure like anybody who's watching this like is gonna get mad Reiki, whether they realize it or not.
Take the Reiki 1 course, do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, take the Reiki. It truly is life changing. I know, like the whole time my hands have been like clammy and sweaty this whole time. So I know I could feel like my Reiki has been like on this time, but it's just appropriate too. And I'm gonna send you a photo of my altar for us too. So is there anywhere that people can find you if they wanted to find you or get in contact with you or anything, if that was a thing, or if we just happen to see you, then it's a magical experience? Or...
Yeah, I'd probably say that one. It's just let it be magical. I do want to say I have these 2 friends. Let me see. I have 2 accomplices that wanted to be in this podcast. They just wanted to be seen for whatever reason. these 2, yeah. So this is my wand and this is Amber's heart, and these 2 like being together, and they just wanted to be in the. These crystals are talking. They've been chattering the whole time, so they just wanted to be like, show us we belong together. Like, yeah.
Well, now I want to do show and tell with like our altar now.
Yes, please, let's see.
We gotta wrap it up.
We gotta
wrap it up here. So let's wrap up the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can do show and tell after.
That's smart.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. What we'll do is we'll keep the recording going, so that we can do like a little after show for people. So. Yeah. Wants to go after show and tell, we can do that in a separate video.
Okay. Okay,
So,
well, thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much for having me. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yes, thank you, thank
Thank
you. We
you.
really appreciate you. So if you are wanting to find us, you can find us at higher-consciousness-talk.com. And then from there, you can find all the rest of our social media. If you're on YouTube,
Insta, Twitter,
yeah,
Facebook,
yeah, probably TikTok at some point. YouTube.
which you
So,
probably are watching
yes,
this on right
yeah,
now.
so thank you for
So
liking
subscribe.
this video, subscribing.
Subscribe.
Yep, and like comment down below what you thought about this video and anything about healing for you that has maybe you would like to share as well. So we will see you next time. And Kole, don't actually hang up, but we will see you all next time. And thank you. There's a little less smoke to go in. Bye.
Listen to more Higher Consciousness every Thursday on Spotify at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.